What's up, YouTube fam? It's Dark Angel's Journey. I'm Shakira. I say hello to Sasha. What are you doing? What is that? Jeez, I swear to God. Gotta save these cats from themselves all the time. It's not. What did you? How would you find stuff like it's cereal? She found cereal. I was snacking on cereal. Anyway, about to do a whole bunch of Power of Three back testing, so this is gonna be boring. So I need to get through a bunch of exercises before I but 3 years worth of this before I move on and start working on, trading micros. Okay, little one. Are you going to? Okay, she's finding a comfy spot. Thanks. You're so cute. Okay, who's a cutie patootie? You are. Like this, my girl. All right, let's get on with it. Super simple. I'm on the 5 minute chart. I've gone through 6 months worth of it so far. So now I'm just gonna run through the next, I'm in May now, through to January if I can get it without too much interruptions from myself and or kitties. Hopefully the alright. So pull this way. It's June. I want to get a feel for what price action was like at the time. So May 30th, still pretty bullish. So I might have been looking for long on that day, but we're just going to go with what is considered consolidation, manipulation, and expansion, and just see if we see repeating concepts. And that's it. Straightforward, boring, but it is what I need to get on with my life. So let's go. All right. So actually, London was all kinds of consolidation. Uh, they took out their own highs on this day. Open was pretty much just a push down. Sometimes. This is the setup. Are you going somewhere? You're gonna continue to be here? Alright, so it's a lot of consolidation. And if I'm being completely honest, oh, she's moved. Okay. She likes to sit behind my laptop sometimes. I assume it's the heat. Alright, this one's kind of annoying because it's not super clear as to what you want. So prior to all of this, we had consolidation. There was some manipulation down this way, and you'd be looking for a long, but it would be the kind of day where you did get some manipulation down, a little bit of expansion, but no follow through, so wouldn't have gotten any kind of actual long. So I mean, at open, we did manipulate downwards, but this is one of those days where the long would only come in the PM, actually. The AM, if you were looking for longs. Good movement, though. Good movement. So, I mean, if I'm being honest, like the consolidation, manipulation, and then the actual expansion down would have been a short for that day. But with I don't know, maybe we would have been looking at a short because of the previous day here. So, maybe. Mm, but I wouldn't have gotten anything until after 11, though. Rough. I mean, for myself, if I was looking for a long, I would have gotten it here gotten a bit of a push, but no follow through, and maybe been stopped off for break even. I would have wanted the expansion to be here. Mm. Not an easy day to trade. This one's better, if only because it's more of a still a decent move. So it's really just expansion on the session. Hmm. I have to assume all of the consolidation, manipulation happened prior to this, which is something I do see a lot. So we're just continuing the trend. We did have some consolidation here prior to open, but no manipulation, just a continuation. So don't see that as often as I've been going through it. This is 2025's data for now. We're looking at, so not a nice day. So we did have some consolidation here. So when price is trending and it's trending nicely, like you don't get these ridiculously silly days. So, it might be like scenarios where you just don't bother to trade on those days. Because this is what, the 28th, the Wednesday, the 28th. So that's this down day right here. But it's a small day. Sometimes when you have these big engulfing candles, like you have like smaller days inside of them. Like you want to be trading in these types of days. Like just we've shown strength and just continue going. You're looking for continuation, maybe this dip into here or the block continue up, and then really nice trading when it would start on days like that. We would have gotten something small in here. Gotten some small in here. Mhm. All right, so let's see. This is a better day. This is much better. So if you're long biased, you had your consolidation here before open. So I like when it happens like right before open, and then at open we had manipulation down. That's really nice. Took out the lows, took out the consolidation, and then some really nice expansion. So 10 o'clock would have come and would have gotten something. So in this scenario, I'm not looking to figure out the entry. I'm just looking to get a feel for price movement around these times. Since I can only trade the New York AM and or PM session, probably most likely the PM session, given my morning schedule. There's another nice one. Not bad. Not great for an entry perspective, but did have consolidation, and then opened, and then it took out everybody. So everybody who's got to it looking for shorts, their stops got taken out. And then expanded down. So yeah, like let it know, price needs to let you know what's happening. I think that was part of my problem last year. Is like I just wasn't waiting for confirmation for things, or let's be honest, I was waiting for confirmations, but I was also too scared to sometimes take the setup, because trading a mini, the stop was super tight, I was always waffling about it. So with the micros, I can do what I need to do. So I'm just curious here. Um, like how much of an expansion wouldn't have been worth it to me, especially if we're looking for longs at this point. This is 26th. Sometimes I don't know if you guys have noticed, like the day has gone missing. Like there's the 23rd, there's the 27th. They just skipped the Monday. Like candles are missing on TradingView. It's weird. Candles are missing. Or it's just so tiny. And take the set off. Yeah. The Monday is not there. Weird. Anyway, so if that's the case, then we're in this space, then you might have been continuing to look for shorts. So that would have made sense. All right. So, wow. So London had basically consolidation. Then the manipulation happened again prior to open. Love that. Because I think I'm finding that as I go through the old price action, that it's easier when the manipulation happens prior to open. And then when they have like the run up and continuation, it's like easier trading, you know? Because then this would have been like this right here would have been like this, the area I would have been interested in. And then maybe running up to take, into this little like order block right here. And that would have been plenty, like 164 handles. I mean, on micros, depending on what the stop is, 2 or 3 micros is still pretty juicy. Fill this up. And then this day is this. Okay. Similar scenario. See that a lot. You see the consolidation. So when there's no consolidation in London, like I sometimes don't like um the New York session afterwards. Like you just don't get that expansion that you're looking for inside of it. So we had manipulation beforehand, we had a retracement, and then continuation. So technically, it's just a continuation of the expansion here. I just don't know if it would have been worth trading it though. Like, actually, yeah, it would have been worth trading it. Nice, not bad. So you would have gotten something at 10.55. So that's the other thing I'm learning, right? The way the price action has been happening, a lot of the expansion's been happening after 11. So I just have to be patient and take the trade. I don't know, I was like married to taking it between 10 and 11 that I just wouldn't consider anything else. All right, this is the 21st. So we'd had basically sideways action right here. So still would have been looking for longs at this point. So what did we have prior? So we just had pure expansion at open. Let's see. Yeah, nothing exciting. So we just had pure expansion at open. London looks like it was just a continuation of a downtrend. So we had no real consolidation, really. A little bit of manipulation down to take out this tiny bit of consolidation, I guess. It's kind of hard to. The days like this are kind of hard to work through because you don't really have the consolidation like and then the manipulation I'd love to see. Like right on top of it. You kind of need to see that. So let's say we had this a little bit of consolidation, we had a little bit of manipulation beforehand. I'm gonna call it tiny manipulation because I'm gonna assume in this case they didn't take out the London low or anything like that here. So tiny manipulation here, but the expansion there. The question is, would it have been worth it here? Yeah, plenty worth it. Would have to wait until a little while to get it, but plenty worth it. Lots of juicy longs in that one right there. And let's see. Oof, this is a no trade day for sure. London was consolidation, which is crap. Some manipulation, and then we just kind of kept wicking about. The only real potential would have been right here when we like pushed up, so would have gotten some expansion right here. But I mean, given the consolidation, just looking, I'm finding that whenever the consolidation is like consisting across like this, it just can keeps doing that. But we did have some manipulation here. I just don't know if it would have been worth it to trade this particular day, at least not the AM session. Hmm, yeah, not well. The PM would have given us short. The PM would have given us the short. So let's see. Yeah, that would have been decent, but the AM wouldn't have given us much of anything. Let's make myself a little smaller in this grouping here. See more of the charts. Okay. Oof. What is this day? That's quite a push up. So, got more consolidation and no manipulation. Not really. So see this sometimes where it just consolidates and then it runs up. It did take the low out prior to it. So we had small, let's put that on here. So it's small manipulation at the beginning. I don't know, man. I feel like in the moment I might not have considered it, worthwhile. But then once we had this big push up 930, we just ignored everything. No real pullback. I mean, we just had pure expansion. So one of two things happens in this scenario. You either push up, you have a V-shaped reversal, or you just, keep going. So it might have been worth it to try along from this order block in this fair value gap. I would have put it right there. And it would have been worth it. Would have had to wait though, quite a while. But once it left this area, I would have put my stop. Anyway, let me stop doing that. It's so hard to look at this and then not consider the entry. Oh, so here we have consolidation, definite manipulation down, and then expansion that way. Not clean and juicy, but it is something, especially if you're looking for longs. So we did, London was consolidation city. And then saying the manipulation is down here because they took out the lows. They did not take out the highs, so I would have been looking for them to take the highs out with this expansion, which they did. And from this secondary sweep up, yep, 400 ticks or so. Pretty good. Great on minis, okay on micros. All right, so London was a bit of a push up. We had some a little bit of consolidation right here before open. Nothing exciting. Then we had some manipulation to push it down and then finally some movement up. So clear expansion. And then this is consolidation that continued into open a little bit. And then at open, we had a little bit of manipulation into more of a retracement than manipulation, if I'm being honest with you. Just retracement into this tiny little 5-minute order block and fair value gap. And then you wouldn't have gotten any kind of juicy potential for an entry until it left this area. So not great. Great after the fact though. 11 o'clock, you would have gotten something. Mm, nothing there, nothing there, you know. So again, all of the movement occurring after 11 o'clock. All right, let's see what we got. Trash day. Just pure, I don't know, you might have tried a short, but it would have been, what day is this? The 14th? That was a long day. Nothing clear until the PM. So London was consolidation. PM was manipulation, and then there was no real expansion. So like a clear, big, juicy candle to continue down, we'd never got. So would have been a hard day to trade. Just consolidation throughout the day. Hard day to trade. I mean, could have looked at this as some manipulation at open, swept things out. Trying to find a silver lining in this one. And then there is no expansion. But there's mainly just sweep, consolidation, then sweep again in London too. No, this is a lovely, like, kind of day if you can catch something. You would have had to catch it up here though, unless you just were like, YOLO, you know? Um, so from the top of that fair value gap, yeah, you would have gotten a little. You would have taken all day, but you would have gotten something. And we just, open was just like, well, did have a little consolidation right here, you know? But I really just consider this like a continuation of the push up. We had a little bit of manipulation at open, more of a retracement, if I am being honest with myself, into this. Let's zoom in on that, into this uh, volume imbalance right here. Been rejecting from, boom, boom. Nice push up. Would have looked for potential entry in this four belly gap, not gotten it. Not been given anything until here. When it formed this, rejected from it, take the entry here. Again, let me stop myself. Beautiful expansion there though. So this is a nice day right here. The same session would have just been like, go, 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 go. Might want to just, with the micros, just try 2 micros and, put my stop and just see what happens. So here we had consolidation before open. And then we had manipulation. I'd been looking, this is what, the 12th? Looking for longs, So then we had manipulation down. So 2 areas of interest here. So, and then the expansion would have happened into the 11 o'clock time frame. So you wouldn't have gotten anything between 10 unless you could trade this short. I don't know. Is it worth it? Actually, would have been worth it to dig in. But if you're looking for longs, oh, hey, how are you? Oh, sure, 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 sure. Okay. So here's the concept, right? Um, there's 3 things that normally happen that you're looking for, right? So there's some sort of consolidation where price is just going sideways, right? And then and other folks call it accumulation too, right? Like, so just think of it as like a bunch of orders being accumulating into a general space. Like, it's usually like they're going sideways, right? And then you want some sort of manipulation. You want a reason. And again, all of this is based on your bias for the day, right? So this day is May 12th, 2025, right? So I have on the daily candle, this is May 12th right here, right? Big expansion day. So before that, all we've been doing is going up, right? So if you're looking for longs, then you're looking for some sort of manipulation where they take the lows out and then give you a reason to get a long in, right? So let me drag the bar all the way over here. Excuse me. Oh no, I got a cough in. Sorry, this dry cough has like been sitting with me forever. Anyway, so you're looking for a reason to go long in this scenario, right? And so on so when you see this type of consolidation, like prior to open, like I'm looking for them to take it all out, right? So they dropped at 9:30, they took it out, right? But before you can actually go long, you need a reason to go long. You need something juicy. So like in on the 5 minute here, I would be looking for a nice big engulfing up close candle, right? I want it to leave some space in between it for fair value gap. So if we zoom in here, right? Let's look at this first drop, right? No big engulfing, nothing like this, right? Nothing like this space that they've left here, right? Oh, my throat. So because there's nothing like that here, most likely they'll continue down for a short, right? But if you're not looking for shorts, you're waiting for something like this instead. So what do we see? So when we get this is like 1040, right? So we get this nice push up, juicy fair value gap right here. So this is a space where they've done no selling, they've just done buying. But in this case, they've already done a bunch of selling here. They created another one in here. So they've rebalanced all of this. This is a very balanced space that they've bought and they've sold. Everything is great. Now, what you're looking for is a reason to go long. So in this scenario, one of two things, because this whole thing here is an order block, right? This whole thing here is an order block. All of this is another area of consolidation, another area where they're marking price. But look what they're doing, right? Look at that bullish fair value gap. So one of two things can happen in terms of like taking a long from here. If you're waiting for confirmation to go long, right? You can do one of two things. Now, this would be, I consider this would be like an aggressive entry, right? You see how they're respecting the midpoint of this fair value gap? This is on the 5 minute. So you could do something like that with some micros, right? Like if you got two micros, you could go crazy and like have a pretty juicy stop, right? And then you could aim for like them closing this fair value gap out here, right? The other thing you could do is you can wait. So this is what I would be looking for, right? And this would occur like at lunchtime, or if you're seeing, and this is pretty messy, right? Like this is not like an amazing moment to take a trade, but it's also a moment where you see a certain behavior occurring that you could say, okay, I can take a stab at it because look, no bodies have closed below this midpoint of this fair value gap. So it's a good place to take an entry. If you dip down, you could also dip down into the 1 minute. And then on the 1 minute, if you're looking for an entry, now you could be similar scenario. They've pushed up very aggressively, right? And they're again consolidating, right? But inside of that consolidation is something I've started to notice. There's always one point where they sweep the consolidation, right? And then they run up. So in that scenario, you're now waiting for the same type of thing that you're looking for on the 5 minute, right? You're looking for a aggressive push up with a fair value gap so you can take an entry. I don't know if they gave us that, right? I don't know if they gave us that. But let's dig in a little bit more, right? Because I wasn't really looking at entries, just looking at the flow. But since you asked, so in all of this trash consolidation, marking price that they're doing, in all of it, do we see a fair value gap in any of this space? There's a tiny one here. And this is if you don't want to take the midpoint entry here, which would have been perfectly fine. Micros save the day. This is the first time that we've seen it. And they've taken this right here, right? So what you could do, now you have this fair value gap right here for an entry, potentially. And then you could set your stop at this low or the low of this fair value gap. Only reason I'd pick this low is because they haven't chosen to take it out again. So it should be relatively safe, right? And from this, you see that you would have gotten an entry here, took a little bit of heat right there, a little bit of heat right there, and then it would have taken off. But it's these weird little signatures that you're looking for that you want to pay attention to, even in the crash price action. You know what I mean? Sorry, I don't know why my video is so dark. Don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so if I were to look at this day from an expansion perspective, and if I were to take this, I would take it. I would be watching it on that 5 minute to see if I got something clear. And there's two areas of clarity on the 5 minute. It's this big up close candle in the middle of all of this. There's also the potential to say, well, there's two little order blocks here. Big move up. You could have tried an entry here, or you could wait for this guy and try an entry here with a stop below here. Because all of this is just confirming that they want to continue going up. But this particular day would have been really, really messy kind of entry. You'd have to wait and consider. And the really, really juicy entry would have been at the midpoint of this fair value gap. Let's take a look at another day, and maybe we'll have cleaner price action, and then I can do it again. So right now I'm just looking through power of three: consolidation, manipulation, accumulation, like reasons that I would need to get into a trade, right? Like this day is what? The 9th of May. So I would have been looking for longs on this day because I wouldn't know how this daily candle had formed. I'd be looking for longs. Doesn't look like I would get any longs. This would have been a very disappointing day. Nothing that I would be looking for would have shown up on this particular day, which means that I would have not taken any trades. Look at it. So what do we have, right? So London is basically just consolidation, right? And it's okay if there's manipulation prior to that. So prior to open. So what do we have? We have consolidation in London, which would have made for really annoying trading, or technically it's been consolidating like for a while, even the Asia session before that. Then there must have been some news or something. It swept both sides out. Mean. Not all of it, but some of it. And then at open, we had a little bit of, I call this tiny manipulation because I would have preferred if it took that high out, but it doesn't have to because this candle already sort of did that. And then it went ahead and dug into this fair value gap over here and the order block over here. And then it decided to just drop. So on a day like this, when you're looking for longs, right? And you don't see what you're looking for. So I would prefer, if I was looking for longs, I want to see some consolidation in before open. Then I want to see open drop. It did drop, right? But did we get any kind of follow through for long? No, none at all. We got up close candles. I got no fair value gaps. The only thing that would have given me any kind of an entry for long in this scenario would be this fair value gap right here and this order block. And would that have been worth it given the nature of the day? Mm, for minis, yes. For micros, not so much. So I mean, this is just consolidation for the rest of the day. And it's not exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for expansion on the rest of the day. So I'm finding that because they had expansion down and then consolidation. There's nothing in this unless you could catch the short and that you were expecting the short. And given this is the ninth, you would have been looking for longs, bias wise. So they would have knocked out anybody in here that was looking for longs. Just, you know, and then two things, right? Like whenever I see these big drops, I want to see that V-shaped reversal, right? Like one side this, one side that, and then we continue. We might do a little retracement on the V and then continue up. Otherwise, it's just consolidation and then you just don't get anything juicy. I know scalpers can do really well with this sort of thing, but I'm not. I'm not a scalper. I can imagine a scalper looking at this as a mini range, like as a mini range, and then just when it hits here, short, when it hits here, long, and just keep going back and forth, back and forth. That's a thing. Now, let's see. Now, this is a better kind of day, although they don't really give you a ton of opportunities to go long. Because I would have tried here, I would have got nothing. And then it's just kind of YOLO into it. So we have consolidation. They manipulated down at open for quite some time. So they manipulated and then they expanded. Beautiful continuation long, but I don't really know how you would, short of YOLOing into this. And let's take a look at the 1 minute just for entry potentials. Because once this big engulfing candle occurred, fair value gap created, there's, definitely a potential for an entry in here. So let's take a look at it again, just to give you another idea of potential entries. So let's see. On the 1 minute, I wonder if there's areas in here I would have been um, faked out. You know what I mean? Areas where I would have been faked out. So things that I pay very, very close attention to, usually, like if there's areas or fair value gaps that have been like, helping price along, meaning like it's helped price continue low. I guess most folks would call it like supply and demand areas, whatever. It's all the same stuff. You know what I mean? It's all the same stuff. Hold on. Let me roll back into here for a second because I want to see if there was a continuation trade that might have been available off of a fair value gap. Maybe a down close one that formed in this space. This is like the only one, and that would have showed up around after 11 o'clock. Hmm. I guess this is the only one I could have used for that purpose. Meaning, like, once we broke above this guy, then use it for a continuation to go higher, if you couldn't find, like, an actual, like, entry in this space. Let's take a look at the 1 minute again. Yeah. So, from my particular entry model where, they swept it and then a continuation up. Nice big juicy candle. Like I said, on the 5 minute continuation, looks like we could have gotten something in here. I might have tried on this fair value gap here, nothing. There's nothing here. Maybe the order block, that would have gotten an entry here for a continuation because we dipped into this little guy and just kept going up, ignored this one. That's pretty bullish. And then could have also taken, an entry at this order block right here that would have gotten you up. but probably would have waited for this entry because I love this type of thing. It's really easy to work with. Order block. Here's a 5 minute fair value gap that they use to keep price down, right? Bearish. So we want this to flip bullish. So once we actually close the candles above this, I would have been looking at an entry at the midpoint of that with, stops below it with, depending on the micros and ride it up, something like that. But it's not like the most, it's not the juiciest sort of entry. You'd have to wait all the way until almost lunchtime to be able to catch that. If you're trying to catch, and then the 10 o'clock time frame, they just kept dropping and dropping. You might have waited for them to crest this high and then, I don't know, do breakout traders do that? I don't know. But in all of this would have been the main setup I would have taken if I had an opportunity. So I like those. I like those areas where, because you see, right, like price made this bearish fair value gap, use it, and then dropped like a ton, right? Um, could have also used this guy if you wanted a pre-entry sort of thing, right? It wasn't used in the same way, but it was disrespected like immediately. Like, seriously, why is it so dark? Hold on. There's this like weird little camera lighting thing that might help on this laptop, but let me turn the light off. And I said last time I'd bring the those little round little light things that YouTubers and TikTokers use. Look at that. It got lit and then it just stopped. I don't know, man. Is that better? Or if it's gonna stay that way. But does that make sense? At least somewhat for the entry. You need clarity. You need clarity because without the clarity, you're not going to be able to have the um, confidence in the setup. And it's getting dark again. What the? Oh, man, I don't know. I do need to bring that light up here. But this is the only entry I would have found comfortable taking. But honestly, after this thing tapped it and ran up, I might have just been like, bam, that would have just given me more fuel for this entry. So it wouldn't have been a bad day. It just would have been a weirdly, you'd have to be patient. Let price tell you what it wants to do. All right, let's move on to the next day. All right, so we had a ton of consolidation in London. Sorry. Y'all were just sitting, if you're trading London, you've been sitting at midnight open price all day with no follow through. And then we had, did they take anything out there with that little push up? Tiny manipulation. They took it out after they took London high out here. And honestly, I would say the manipulation occurred out here, and this is just a continuation. But ugly though. Like, I don't really know how you even trade this scenario. Like, this is what, May 7th? So this is the 7th. This is an up close day. So these are down close candles. He might have been looking for shorts still on that day. Hmm. So I feel like this day was one of those really mean ones, right? Where this is where the day opened up at midnight, right? And then it dropped. It was like, yes, we're gonna keep going down. And then it pushed back up to make that high at the end of the day. Isn't that fascinating how the candles form? What a fascinating scenario. So we had plenty of consolidation. So then at open, they took themselves out prior to that. So we had some manipulation at open. I would just call it a continuation if I'm being honest. Like sometimes when it's hard to tell, it's just, I don't know, man. This day would have been difficult for me to trade, especially if you're looking for a short. Like when do you, I mean, if I were to look for a continuation short from here, this consolidation, a tiny push up, and then a nice juicy candle down. Technically, they did do that just later in the day. And then this is where it would have been like, yeah, let's go short. Like right in this, like this candle right here, right in the middle of that puppy, that would have been the short. If that was my bias. It's hard for me to tell. So consolidation, I guess the manipulation was this upward move right here. Like I don't see these, so whenever I see these days that confuse me, these are days when I just don't trade. I mean, it got juicy expansion. It really, really did. But I can see a ton of people trying to go short in this area and getting, their asses handed to them. Hmm. And most of the 9:30 to 10 was spent doing all of this. Maybe, oh, this is a thought. Here we go. So maybe if I was looking at this for buy gap from earlier and I saw that they weren't trying to break it, this big down close candle, I wonder if there was a particular entry available in that scenario. Let's snip over to here because it looks like it just kind of fell and then, yeah, like I wouldn't have gotten any short of just being like, you know what, you guys look like you're not trying to leave this area. Short of just being preemptive and doing something like this to go for those lows or something like that, I probably wouldn't have gotten in on this trade. Being very, 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 very honest with you. Might have actually considered this one though, because of we dropped, we ran up. Let's look at it. Nice juicy down close candle. I would have considered an entry at the top or the base right there, depending on how much. Yeah, would have stopped like that. Yeah, the base would have been fine. And then I would have been looking for them to drop even further. Mm, on a couple of micros, I probably would have taken this on 3 micros. It wouldn't have been bad as an entry. But for this one, I wouldn't have caught that. There's just no way. But this would have been a nice continuation on the 1 minute. So definitely this would have been the expansion. Later in the day, though, about 2:15, you would have gotten a very messy attempt at longs. Very messy, irritating attempt at longs. Uh, so here's a more clear scenario if you're looking for longs. Question is, would you have even gotten an entry on this one? I don't know. So we have consolidation in London for the most part. So here's a clearer view of consolidation. We sort of open, but we manipulated down. So we had the manipulation here. And I'm noticing as I continue to review and test this, that sometimes they do this, they don't really take anything, and then they drop, like, and that's the real manipulation. So the expansion for this day is still bullish, even if it's sort of ugly. I mean, if I'm being honest, like, wouldn't have gotten an entry until here. And that would have been a nice return. Yeah. So big juicy engulfing candle. That's the one that took out. Since we have this whole order block in here, I'm gonna call this puppy a propulsion block because price just ran away from it with some alacrity. So from an entry perspective, let's see if I'd done something like that. Let's make that a bullish. We're holding on for dear life here. So one of two ways to enter on this one. You could wait to see if it comes down here, see how it behaves inside of this fair value gap. This is in the 5 minute, of course. And then once you saw that nice big juicy candle up here, take out this bearish fair value gap right here. You could take an entry from here and then been conservative with the stop right there. And take it back to midnight open. That's what this black line is. That's a nice return, right? And then not gotten caught up in, this is like 6 o'clock, so should be out. Stops would have been, if you were trying to go for more, I would say your stop would have to be under here, and then just take your monies and keep it moving. That would have been the setup, but you wouldn't have gotten an entry until the PM. Because there's no real return in here. Now, I know a bunch of folks would have taken this long right here. Not a bad idea. Why? I mean, it did take out some lows here. It left a giant fair value gap here. So I can see folks taking this long and getting stopped out. I might have felt comfortable taking it. But yeah. But accumulation, I'd want them to sweep it more and then give me something clear. They swept it here, but look, there's like no fair value gap in this space. So it's not like super clear that they want to continue going up. And they didn't, right? They just kept going down, disrespecting until here. And that's where they left with, and they respected this one, plopped above it, disrespected this bearish fair value gap, and then ran up. On the 1 minute, let's see if I can get over there. On the 1 minute, this might have been a little clearer. Yeah, so order block, tiny fair value gap, and then you would have gotten tagged in here somewhere, dealt with some drawdown for a little bit if you put your stop below here, and then it would have taken off nicely, and you could have just managed as it goes up. But you need clarity. You need clarity, because otherwise, the game is rigged to kick us out, as retailers. So you need clarity. Ugh, God, this is a gross day. So we just had consolidation. I can't spell, y'all. Don't tell nobody. So we had consolidation here. They did take it out here, very small. Some tiny manipulation beforehand. So I usually prefer that they do the manipulation before London Open. All right. And then there was expansion, but it was very messy expansion. It did push up. So entries would have been hard to find in here, but it did do it. Now here's more of a continuation scenario. We did have manipulation here. The consolidation was down here. And this is just a continuation, honestly, of the long. So I really only really see expansion in here. So on days like this, so we have a little bit of trash price action here. Fair value gap. They didn't bother to come back into it. So might have tried an entry in here, but no. The clearest thing was after 11 o'clock. So I'm finding that last year, a lot of things around 10 o'clock just didn't work out. Clearest thing occurred 11:35. So order block and then the expansion up. I don't know if it was even worth it. A little bit. Return back into this for value gap and then push up again. Just more, just continuation up. It's May 1st. So we did have some consolidation here. And then we did have manipulation at open and a continuation for the longs, but it didn't really have a lot of legs. Steve, May 1st. Yeah, that's an ugly day. That is an ugly day. It pushed up and then psyched folks out and then just basically came back down and then came back down to open and then ended a little bit. So it started like this, like we kind of just hung out and then we made the low. Actually, this is the low for the day. I'm trying to see how it like moved. But for longs, you would have not really gotten much of an opportunity. You'd be thinking about longs though. Anyway, moving on. I'm just trying to just see what I need, what I see. All right, so London would have been a big amount of consolidation. Lots and lots of manipulation down here, even at open continuation. I like that, especially if I'm bullish. That's more like what I want to see. Then we had nice expansion. This would have been a nice day to trade. Would have been a nice day to trade. Because like 10 o'clock, I mean, once we can even think of it like this, like once we disrespected this down close candle, take an entry from it. That's an entry model, right? All right, let's see. This is gross consolidation here. The manipulation occurred beforehand, so I like those. I like when it happens ahead of time. I'm finding that it's like the better scenario, or the 9:30 open gives you that small manipulation and then continuation up. But there's no legs here. We did expand upward, but it had no legs. It didn't really move until pretty much lunch was almost over. Pretty much rolling, but it moved after that, like juicy. Sometimes it can seem really, yeah, that long would have been more than enough for me from here. Yeah, I take that back. I would have gotten a decent long out of it because after this nice juicy move up, I would have put my entry here and then probably been stopped out in this scenario right here. That's annoying as hell. Because why does it need to come back up? But it would have been immediate response from here, and that would have got me, if I'm being honest, yeah, I would have probably been trailing this real tight. So that would have been a nice move right there. Gave you, I'm finding that NQ tends to come back to like the entry area again and then move. It's very annoying. Very, very annoying. Oh, this is nice. This is nice and juicy right here. Beautiful. Hey, Maddie. Ooh, your neck looks so weird. What's up, pretty girl? He's my baby. He's my baby. Kitty break. Kitty love love. Kitty love love breaks. Hey, what's up, pretty girl? You're flopping. You little flop. He's a flopper. Hi, little girl. Let's give you some wub wubs. No, rubbing the. Anyway, let's continue. So nice. So this is the kind of day I like to see. right here. Beautiful day right here. This is a lovely, lovely day. Easy to read, clear movements, clear movements. Look at that. Beautiful manipulation ahead of time. Then we had a nice juicy drop. Then we straight up just smoked that bullish fair value gap, and then beautiful expansion after that. This would have been a little annoying and choppy, of course, but you'd have to sit through it. Just out of curiosity. So that's short on micros, like this juicy drop, and I would have probably wanted an entry at the base of this fair value gap right here. Those are some big candles, man. So that would have been like 2 micros. Nice. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Secondary entry would have been here. I'm sure there's something better on the 5 minute too. But no, lovely day. That would have been a lovely, lovely day. No, this is just gross consolidation. This day would not have been the best. So yeah, consolidation here. We had some manipulation here. This would have been really, really not great. Especially if you're looking for, if these candles are really big, I don't even think even with micros, I would have wanted to take that. So let's say that this fair value gap, this is quite big. So what is that? Yeah, there's no way. There's no way I would have been in on this. The stop would have been too crazy. I would have had to wait for something more juicy. The PM would have been better. Yeah, like 2 o'clock would have been much better. And you'd still get some nice movement. Yeah, plenty. So there's a lot of consolidation and then there's expansion, the PM. Really? Just gonna block me? I really need to schedule these, so I apologize. I forget to do so sometimes. Hmm. So the open did a bunch of weird manipulation back and forth, and it wasn't pretty. If you're looking for longs, I mean, the manipulation's here, but it wasn't a pretty little girl, little kitty. What's up? You just wanted all the attention. You just want all the attention. Hmm? You wanted some cuteness aggression? You want some cuteness aggression? No. Okay. There's nothing like having kittens, man. They brighten your day so much. So much. So that would have been a hard AM session right here. That would have been a difficult AM session. All right, here's one of those just pure expansion days. Nothing else but expansion. Just go long. Just go long. Uh, see here. They would have taken out Asia with alacrity, and then London just kept climbing, climbing, climbing. I assume there was some news this day. What is this? April 24th. April. Yeah, look at that big expansion day. Just go long. Jump on the bandwagon. Just expansion day, nothing else. All right, what do we got here? So we would have been in a weird place right here. So London was basically just consolidation, and then New York open, most of it would have been trash, and then expansion that way. I don't like these types of, it's just not clear. There's nothing to do. I would have just come back in the PM and see if the PM was would give me better price action, and that would have been a big fat no. 10:30 though. So you'd have to wait for them to take these highs out. Or if you're looking for longs, you would have been sorely disappointed on this particular day. I would have just closed this because it wouldn't be giving me anything, but it did have the three elements in it. Hmm. Hmm. So here's a scenario. So this comes up every once in a while, and I have to get comfortable with it. So we had consolidation all through London, so that would have sucked for London. And then at open, we had a little bit of manipulation, like the smallest amount, and nice juicy push up. I mean, nice juicy push up. So juicy. I don't know that I would have had the cojones to take this trade. I would have had to take one micro. Not from that initial spot anyway. So, but beautiful, beautiful expansion if you could get in on this one. And you would have been able to because even though they didn't leave like anything here, they just take it out of the order block and just keep going. That would have been what I would have done that day. Just lovely jubbly. All right, here's another day like that. We had some consolidation. So this is a scenario I like a lot. At open, we had manipulation to take some of this out. And then big expansion. So this is a nice, juicy, clear day. Be looking for reasons to go short. Like at this point, I'd be looking for a fair value gap that's like holding price down. Here's one, tap, tap. And then once we drop below here, I would have taken it at, would have been that order block or this one. Let's see. So once we drop below here, like take it at this order block right here. There's a tiny fair value gap in there, super tiny. And stops like right there. So two micros would have been the play for that, but that would have paid. That would have paid nicely. So beautiful day, beautiful expansion. All right, let's see what else we got. All right. So here's a scenario where mm, the manipulation happened beforehand. I also like those two because then during open, then the continuation makes a lot more sense. We had a little bit of consolidation here. I would have preferred if they'd taken this high out, but what can you do, right? And that would have put me in a space where I probably wouldn't have even gotten the trade out. So then we would have had the expansion at open. Would have been a hard day to trade though. It's very trashy, very, very like, very trashy sort of day. But if I would have, I don't know, would this have been worth it? Like this, once it respected this, respected the order blocks, respected that guy, just take, yeah, would have been worth the hell out of it. Curious though, like what would my stop have been? Oof, these candles are so too Mike. Let's see. 174. So I would have probably gotten two micros out of this thing. And then that still would have been nice, like five 500 bucks or so. Even juicy on a mini. Not bad. So let's see again. Oh, that dug into this thing and took a bunch of stuff out. And we had like a tiny consolidation, slow grind. Let's see, what day was this? Did we have, can always tell when maybe there's earnings or something. It just ran up like a bat out of hell. Let's see. So this is April 16th. Oof, that's an ugly day. So we would have been dropping a whole bunch. Big engulfing candle. I don't know. I think I would have still been looking for shorts. Um, yeah, I don't know. So there's a consolidation, there was some manipulation, then there was a little bit of a long opportunity in here from this candle, and it would have paid. It would have paid. So I don't know, this engulfing might have made me want to go long. I don't know. Let's see. But from just the AM scenario, would have had that, and then this would have been the mini expansion, but the real move was in the shorts that day, apparently. Not that you would have known until this big drop at 130, and at that point you'd be trying to catch a falling knife. Not a day I would have been comfortable trading. Oh, this day sucks. This is a sucky day. But you would have tried for longs. Yeah, consolidation in London. And then we had manipulation beforehand. I don't mind that. But no clarity, no expansion. No expansion. It's just be a shit day. No follow through with anything. Just don't touch it. I'm finding I need something on the 5 minute to help me get to where I need to go. Now, this would have been a good day for shorts. This would have been nice. So we had a lovely consolidation. And then pretty much right before open, we had the manipulation. Took it all out. Beautiful. And then you just be looking for a reason to go short for this expansion. You're looking for something clean and clear for the short. I'm just, yeah. All right. This next day, ugh. So it looks like we had manipulation. This is all consolidation. So I don't like when the consolidation digs into the open. And then we had manipulation down here. Had to wait. Probably wouldn't get the expansion until after 11 o'clock for anything juicy. Yep. So I'm finding that waiting until after 11 o'clock is not a bad idea. Sounds awesome. All right. So this would have not been a pretty morning. But once we swept that, and then finally get some confirmation, like this first fair value gap with this order block. Let me see. That would have been the first um for a long, but that stop would have been way prohibitive. Way prohibitive. Even with micros, yeah, I would have to take like one micro. Crazy. I would have skipped that and seen if the PM was more useful. All right. So here we just have continuation. Just continuation. I don't know if I would consider anything in here. Any kind of manipulation. It's just a continuation of the downtrend. Mm. So here we have consolidation in London. So if there's consolidation in London, I'd like some reason and we had the manipulation ahead of time. So I'm not looking for these lows to be taken again. So that's a good point. Like if London consolidated, we got manipulation ahead of time, those lows are probably safe. And then you're just looking for a reason to go long in the New York session. Let's see, hour 15. Okay. So we're in April. I want to see if I can finish the next 3 months before I. So this would have been so annoying. So we ran up and we came back up. Could you stop stepping on kitties, man? Hmm. Get off. Thank you. Don't break it. Dang cats, I swear to God. Ah, sorry, it's turned off my printer. Yeah, this would have been just consolidation through this whole until it decided to move. And then with this big push up, either we just continue or we just go sideways. In this case, they chose to just continue up. I don't know if I would have had the wherewithal to take along from here. Whoa, but that's a lot of movements. You'd have gotten a lot out of that puppy. Sasha, Maddie, can you get off the printer, please? Hey, come on, get off. Can't take your weight. Look, look, look. Gonna break it, little ones. Oh, you're both up here. I didn't even realize. Anyway, so the PM would have been the only time you'd have gotten any kind of an entry in. Probably only from this fair value gap here that they were respecting the heck out of, and this order block. So not terrible. No real manipulation, just expansion. I don't like when that happens because it makes it sometimes hard for me to like focus on it. All right, so this one is not so bad. We have consolidation in London. And then at open, we have manipulation up. And then just pure expansion downward, which is nice. Lots of opportunities for entries. These are good days. This would have been a very nice day. Sasha? Sasha. This would have been a good day for trading right here. Very good day. You know, I'm glad I got this new laptop. Like my um bit rate is like excellent now. My other laptop was always low or poor or whatever. This would have been a good day for entries there. Oh God. All right, so here we have consolidation. And then at open, we had the manipulation. Beautiful. That's also a nice scenario. Like, so now I'll be waiting for a reason to go long. I just would have been disappointed that there was no real expansion. No real expansion. It just continued sideways. So from this guy, you know what? I'm gonna shut my mouth. This is still pretty juicy. These candles are deceptive, man. They are deceptive. So here is a continuation. This is just continuation, just continuation of expansion. You just keep looking for shorts. You know, we opened, we ran up, we didn't really take anything up, we dropped, left this beauty right here. So then once we came back up into it, left this, I would have been okay with that. Hey LP, how's it going, man? Why is it so dark again? I can't win. How are you? How is it going? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I am I am just going through some exercises to solidify my understanding of market price movement, and I'll start back live trading later in the month with micros, with micros. So this would have been a nice let's go short scenario right here. How are things with you, LP? You've been Oh my God, look at those things. This would have been rough. My stops, even with micros, wouldn't have handled that. Whoo-hoo. I would have had to like think real hard. Let's see here. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Not even with one micro. Nice. Backtesting is where it's at, man. Oh my God, Maddie just ran down the stairs like it's Hey, Wolfie! Wolfie into his house. Oh yeah, I'm getting ready. I bet you there was something juicy in here for 1 minute that would have made it easier to take this short. Let's move the bar closer. You know what I'm finding though, you guys? As I'm going through and looking at the consolidation and the manipulation and then the actual expansion of price, um, there's certain I've seen maybe three or so or four scenarios that price can go. Why is it so dark? I have all the lights on. The light is what the heck? What is up with this camera? This laptop has some lighting thing that I'm supposed to be able to use. I've turned on all the lights in here. Let's see, there's an app enhanced lighting thing. Let me turn this light on. Let's see, does it do anything to make I don't know how to use it if I'm being honest with you. No idea. And it doesn't, I turn the light on and nothing changes. I don't know, maybe something I need to fix with the camera. Or I just get that external light thingy and just bring it up here. Anyway. Hey, Bob, what's up? Good morning. You got your coffee? You prepped? You ready? You fully caffeinated? Ready for the day? Let's see. I'm just curious. Would there have been an entry in here on the 1 minute order block? I don't know. Would this have caught? And then I would have had to just eat like 2 micros. Yeah, there would have been something. It wouldn't have been juicy, but it would have been a little scary, but Nice. That's what's up. I've had no coffee. I've just had water today so far. All right, let's move on to the next day. Where are we? April 3rd? I think I have another month of these in me before I nip out. I'm gonna hang out with my bestie. All right. So we did have some consolidation here. Let's see, April, April 3rd. It's like a down day. So would have been looking for shorts. So would have been looking for some kind of move up. So there was consolidation here. Took it out at open. Okay, not bad. I'm trying to just understand the price movement and the different ways it moves so I can like plan my session setups, you know what I mean? So we have the tiniest of manipulations here. They took it out. I'm not technically looking at entries, but I am, and then we had a nice expansion down right at tiny little fair value gap here. Could have set the entry right there. Oof, that would have been a juicy, juicy, juicy. Plenty of juice in that one. It's not bad. And I'm also realizing that sometimes a lot of the expansion I'm looking for happens after 11, so I need to not be so picky. But this would have been a nice morning setup right here. Yup, yup. AM for the win. All right, this day, um, still would have been looking for shorts and wouldn't have gotten any kind of short opportunity in here. I would have, let's see, are you switching to the power through strategy? No, no, I'm not. I mean, technically, it fits perfectly in with my normal model, right? Because I'm looking for liquidity to be swept, right? I'm looking for liquidity to be swept. I just right now I'm just trying to like get a feel for how price likes to move, right? Like the different behaviors. Like so if you get like big moves up and then a big V-shaped move down, like maybe you can do a nice continuation after that, like you see here. Or if you get a nice move up and it's just chopping sideways, that's the end of the day for you, right? Type of thing. I got family over for lunch. Enjoy. See you more. See you. Enjoy, guys, and see you more with Maya. Okay. So have a great day, LP. Enjoy time with family. That is super important. Um, I'm usually on calls in the morning, so if I like jump in with Maya, it'll be like later in the morning, like after 11. But that, and after I've like once I start trading, it'll be after I start like after I've put my entry in because I don't want to get distracted. Something I was doing last year was like I was definitely getting distracted. Why is this so dark? So annoying. Anyway, this would have been just pure expansion off the open. So you just have to look for longs, I guess. But given the day, what is this? April 2nd. Oof. I've just still been looking for shorts given this push here. I still would have been looking for shorts. So I probably wouldn't have caught anything in here at all. This is just pure expansion. We had a little bit of consolidation in here and a little bit of manipulation before the open, but I don't really call it that. Yeah, work gets in the way all the time, LP man. I'm trying to tell you. But there's gonna be a day when it won't, and I'll be good to go. Okay, so here's where we have some consolidation. So this is some of the exercises I need to do to get comfortable with the way price moves. So if I do my prep ahead of time and I'm looking for a particular behavior, then that'll help me work. Then once I see those things occur, then I can get set up for my entry, you know? And then they had expansion here. I don't know if there would have been an entry on the 1 minute for me here because I'm looking for either an entry on the 5 or 1 minute. TM might have given me an entry for a nice long, juicy. And then you would have, taken it at the order block at the top of the fair value gap. That's another thing. Like switching to the micros gives me the opportunity to take the more aggressive entry versus how I was doing it last year, where I was being so terrified to take the more aggressive entry because my stop was so tight with the mini, you know? You guys are right, just switch to micros and I just have to eat the fees and just call it a day. So on this day we had consolidation in London. Sorry, London guys. Manipulation to take it out at open. Beautiful. Beautiful. Then I would have had two options for entries here for this expansion. So this would have been a nice day, even if you had to wait longer for the trade. Nice big move up, engulfed all of this. Well, nice big move, engulfed this. First entry would have been at this order block, the top here, beautiful. Second entry would have been right here. I would have to sit and wait. But once we got pushed up, man, the sky's the limit. Juicy. That would have been a lovely day. Ooh, look at this. So, a little bit of consolidation here, and they took it out before open, retraced back into this, and then dropped like a stone. So, I don't know if I would have probably attempted a short in this general vicinity in here, um, and probably only here. And look at that, I'd be like at 1150. Most of this I would have missed. So consolidation is just an area where price has just been going sideways the whole time. So technically, if I'm being completely honest with you, all of this, like all of this area here is consolidation. If you go up to the 15 minute, it probably looks even more like it. I'm just using the 5 minute for the time being. Come on. So, so like this is very clear consolidation right here on the 15 minute. So I'd be hoping for it to get taken out. Add camera filter called color coloration, try brightness. Ooh, okay. Let me try that right now. So in OBS, add camera filter. So for the video capture, properties, because I really don't know anything about this thing. How do you find the camera filter? You don't work. In OBS, add camera filter called color correction. Add. So for video, how do I do it? Add color correction. Mm. Oh, on the camera section. Okay, so that's not the camera. Mm. So I'm in the video capture device section. I went into the properties, configure video, camera control. On the hit the three dots, click filters. Hmm. So I'm looking for filters because all I have is settings, and if I look at the plus thing, um, mm, so for the video capture device thing that I'm using, I can go into its properties. Oh, filters. Ha 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 ha. I'm slow. Um, audio, so add. So that's noise. So this one, color correction. Okay. And then brightness. Zero. Okay. Let's see. 0.5. Oh, I'm learning, y'all. I'm learning. Hold on. Is that what I look like? And then gamma, contrast. Okay, all right. All right. All right. Thanks, Bob. You're like saving me from gross camera stuff. Let's see. No, okay. That's too bright, too dark. Oh, hold on. I had it in a nice spot there for a second. Take that off. See, it looked good for a second there. Hmm. Hold on, I'm trying to do it. Trying to do it. I would just set gamma and contrast first and then just adjust the brightness to fit. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's see if that is that better? I can see myself. Thanks, Bob. I had no idea. I had no idea. That's awesome. Much better. Thank you. I'm so lazy. I'm so lazy about this stuff. This is probably why I don't have any like followers. Or I don't have like a ton of followers because I'm so lazy about this stuff. But yeah, so like this area, big area of consolidation. And then they took it all out. And then they did another small area here and then took it out again. So I'm just looking for areas where they prices just kind of going sideways. And then once I see that sideways, I want them to take it out. So that's like the liquidity, you know? And they did it here just a smidge tiny bit and then dropped. So more just continuation of this drop here. So it's not as much as of what I want to see. Here's a better example, right? So we had like consolidation here. Ugh, can't spell, don't tell nobody. So we had consolidation here, and then at open, we continued to just take it out. So we manipulate it. So this is all dependent on what your bias is for the day, right? Like if this is what, March 27th, where is March 27th? So if this is March 27th, and I just had this down close candle, I still would have been bullish on that day. So I would have been looking for a reason to go long. I don't care what the rest of the day does, but that's what I would have been looking for because I wouldn't be able to see anything else, right? I just see this down close candle and it tapped into this. So maybe I would be looking for longs. So I want to see this juicy drop down. And then we did get expansion this way. So I'm not even looking at like what the entry would be. I'll do a whole other like session on what the entries would be. I just want to be able to notice in 1080p camera. So I used to stream my trading on Twitch. Hey man, you guys are way more professional than I am at this stuff. Like way more professional than I am. But hey, this would have been a nice continuation trade up. Let me see. Would it have been worth it for an entry? Let's see. Yeah, juicy. Lots of juice in that one. This day would have caught me by surprise because this is what, March 26th? Yeah, so we've been going up. You'd be looking for longs this whole time. You'd be looking for none of this would have met my criteria for a long, so I'd have to change my mind. So we had a lovely consolidation. I feel bad for the folks who were trading London that at that point. They didn't really go anywhere. And this is a situation I see sometimes. There's just consolidation, no real manipulation, it's just expansion at open. Yeah, you should start back up, Bob. I mean, I'll have to create a Twitch account just so I can watch you. Although I was looking through my password manager and I think I have a Twitch account. I just don't use it. But I come watch you. A little bit of manipulation at open, but then it just dropped like a stone. I don't know. Maybe a try. But again, look at that. You'd only get really an opportunity after 11. I'm starting, see, that's the thing I was missing last year. It's still dark. Hold on, let me go back into these filters. Why can't I get any brighter? Come on, get brighter. My brightness literally just, it keeps adjusting. So rude. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, Friday was juicy. That's why I was like, this is amazing, right? Like that's why the setup on Friday was so juicy. I was like, but I'm not done, right? Like I'm doing all of this so I can build my words confidence. Jeez, why is that word so hard? Just trying to build my confidence, I'm realizing that a lot of my confidence um was shattered because I was trading minis, my stop was too tight, and I would just get my ass handed to me. So tiny, tiny, tiny consolidation. I wouldn't even bother to even call it that. But we did have some manipulation down to take the lows out, and then some expansion up. It's not a great day though. This is all just sideways movement. Like this is tiny. Let me see how much. Yeah. So for micros, I don't know, it wouldn't have been worth it for me to take this, to take any trades here. In the PM, maybe you get a little bit more. Yeah. For minis, this is amazing, you know? So we did have expansion, it just wasn't clean. So the other thing I've also noticed, like if you're at the end of a move, like if the move's been like we've been dropping, which day is this? The 25th? Yeah. So we would have been expecting continuation or at least some manipulation into this fair value gap and then push up. And they were like, nope. But higher context said shorts because we were just dropping, dropping, dropping. So we should have been looking for shorts. And this would have been like that, mini retracement before the continuation down. So in the mini retracement, you'd be looking for longs, but I'm finding that you just don't get the same level of follow through when you're not going with the high time frame trend. Ooh, see, I like this kind of day right here. This is nice, right? So we have manipulations. I'm finding like when we get like two types of manipulation that I'm like finding I really enjoy seeing. The one where it happens just at open and then we push up. So we would have gotten an entry here for a continuation up. I don't know if we would have gotten a ton out of it because then they decided to go sideways, but we did get expansion. You're looking for, but the expansion just isn't as big and juicy as these bigger down close candles. You see, tiny up close candles and then bigger down close candles. Like that's why going with the trend like gives you more money, it pays you. It pays you. So I do like days where we get that type of like setup. Now this would have been mildly annoying, I think, because you're still looking for shorts. We had the consolidation in London, the expansion, the manipulation beforehand. So I feel again, and I notice this a lot. London tends to consolidate a lot, you know, at least last year. There's a lot of consolidation in London, so I felt bad for folks who have to trade it. And then we had the manipulation just before open. And then open gave us, yeah, so like right at open, right before open, and then they didn't bother to take that low out again. Then they just ran up. Gave us a small little fair value gap in here. Actually, let me dig in. Ha 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 ha. Look at that. That fair value gap started up here and ended here. And that's where they were like showing rejecting from. So you would have gotten, if you more aggressive entry would have been there, and then secondary entry would have been there, and then you would have probably been stopped out with this bullshit. Like, why? NQ doing that though. Why does she need to do that? It's so annoying. But she did give expansion, so what can I say? Whether she wants to make it easy. Other thing I've noticed, like when there's a lot of wicking around open, it's just shit show. It's just a shit show. So leave it alone and come back in the PM if you can. Find something in the PM. More consolidation in the PM. Ugh, what a pain. But the other thing I've noticed, like even in the consolidation, there is order. Because if you're consolidating, lows, there's one area in the consolidation that I've noticed that takes the lows out and then they don't take that low out again. And then they move in the direction. I keep seeing that over and over again. So something that I'd be looking for, a reason to get into a trade in the PM, a reason to get into the trade in the PM with that low as like your stop. Let me see. I don't even know how big that stop would have to be. Let's see. Let's say I was like, oh my God. Oh, yeah. So 2 micros. I could have taken that with 2 micros and then just waited. And I would have sat through a bunch of bullshit, but then it would have paid. But this is like a hard, I hate that sort of stuff. It's very annoying. So using the power of three, which higher low do you wait for? Asia or London? Either, honestly. Like, if the Asia low is super close to the London low, then I really want the Asia low to be taken too. Because we saw that on Friday, right? So we saw that they took the London low, faked out, then they took the Asia low, which is right behind it. And then they moved. If the Asia low is like super far away, then I don't really care about that one. But if London's closer, I'll look for London first, you know? Because this is London low right here. And no joke. Sometimes, and I'm trying to get comfortable with that fact, they just don't take London. Not until they just don't take it. Like they didn't take it here. But London decimated Asia. Yeah, they were super close, right? But when they're far away, I mean, short of a giant news play, I'm like, whatever, when it comes to catching the Asia low. But for that manipulation in either scenario, I'm looking at the Asia low or London low for them to take it out, and it's all dependent on where they were. Yeah, it was really close. It was really close. And if we look at the Friday setup, is this Friday? Yeah, this is Friday. If you look at the Friday setup, so this was the Asia low, and this was the London low. And they faked us out. They took the London low out. And then they gave us a nice engulfing candle up, but no follow through. None. No follow through. Also, something that I really want to see on top of that is I want to see them disrespecting down close PD arrays, fair value gaps. Like this is a whole goddamn order block, you know? Like look at that. Just blew right through that puppy. I mean, I did prefer the entry from the fair value gap here that they were using as resistance to continue down. And once they busted and closed a candle, taking an entry from here made a ton of sense. They did come back down and they did absolutely run back up, but it was slow going. But this was a beautiful, beautiful setup. Beautiful, beautiful setup. All right. So this scenario right here would normally irritate the holy hell out of me because I would have wanted open to have just taken that low out because that's London low. I would have wanted it, but they didn't. They just ran up. This is just pure expansion bullshit right here. What is this? What is this? I hate this. There's nothing for me to work with here, you know, except for a short. What day is this? March 20th? We've been dropping, right? So yeah, yeah. They took out London highs here. This would have been this would have been the whole manipulation then. And then they dropped and then gave us, it would have been annoying, but they did give us a couple of entries and plenty of downside to play with. So I take it back. I was thinking of this from a long context. This was all down bias. Yes, exactly. Right. So I want to see if there's an area where they've been consolidating. Like they consolidated the hell out of this area here, and then they just dropped in London. No manipulation, no nothing. It just dropped. And then come open, they didn't bother to take London low out. They're just like, I'm gonna take London high out. And then we start to see structure. After they took London high out, we start to see structure. Nice big down close candles, fair value gap. They didn't even bother to even touch it. Tapped this portion of the order block, dropped again. So at this point, you have two options. You can take an entry. You can take the aggressive entry, and I don't even know how big these candles are. But let's say you have the capital to, oh, this is not too bad. It's not too terrible. The fact that they're not trying to dip into that fair value gap, 2 micros is what I would have taken with this at the base of this order block right here. And then just try to run it down as far as I can. Maybe just run it to this guy. And that's a juicy amount of trades. Secondary option, once we had this big juicy down close candle, close below, still have an order block here. We have this guy on the 5 minute that we could have used for potential entry as well. And again, 2 micros so I can get above, so I can get above, so I can get above this candle that formed it. These two, this, and this, get above this candle that formed it. And then just, or take it at the midpoint. I like midpoints. Midpoints are nice. But for cleaner entry, like I would have said the top of the order block, the fair value gap here for a short, and then roll back down. Because that would have made tons of sense. I would have been unhappy with this bullshit here. Absolutely. It would have been a pain. So a break and retest is absolutely something I'd be looking for. So we had this big juicy manipulation taking out London highs, and then we had expansion down. At this point in the charts, everything was dropping, so you should have been looking for shorts. And I'm sure this probably made a bunch of people want to go long, but you know, this is what, Wednesday, March 19th. Yeah, in this general, we were going sideways. Anything goes. I don't like when the daily is going sideways. The probability of getting like a juicy, decent trade sometimes can be really, really hard. But here's a nice, easy scenario. So we've got consolidation, easy to see, and then it opens and just sweeps it out. Let's see. This one it swept out this piece. I would again prefer if it took out the London low. Much prefer that. But London already took out the Asia lows already. Yeah. So we did have small manipulation to take stuff out, and then nice big juicy candle up. But this just no follow through for the AM, so you'd only get something in the PM for expansion. Seeing that a lot too. Isn't that crazy? Like, as I'm going through, there's like a bunch of days like this. Like, you would be sitting in this trade, and again, if you had, let's see, how much movement is this? I mean, that's plenty for me on 2 to 3 micros. So I would have been out already. But if you're waiting for a much higher, you need to not move your stop, obviously. Here's another one of those just plain expansion and then trash day after that. Nothing to do. So sometimes I see this and then it just drops and then it just goes sideways the rest of the day. It's really irritating. Like on days like this, like I need to see like once it starts to make like order blocks and things, it needs to be clean movement in the for continuation, I think. Otherwise it's just trash. Ugh. So this is kind of rude. What day is this? The 17th of May? So would have still been looking for shorts because we've been dropping. One up close candle does not make a long. So in all honesty, it's not bad. Got the manipulation. But man, you just spent the whole morning dealing with this bullshit until you finally got a proper breakdown for some expansion. And would it have even been worth it? Like, let's say you set it at the bottom of this order block in the middle of that fair value gap. Yes, for the most part, it would have been a decent expansion. And I'm just looking at it from a micro perspective, because from a mini perspective, that's a lot of freaking money. That movement. Yeah, a lot of freaking money. All right. Um, London lows, didn't even bother. We did have some manipulation. Still looking for shorts, so this would have been very frustrating. You know, like follow through for continuation. Let's see. This is the 14th of May. April. Oh, I haven't got to. I moved a little further. Let's see. Uh, so no, we would have still been looking for longs in this scenario. Let me see. Oh, March. Jesus, what am I thinking? Goodness. Sorry, guys. The 14th of March. Probably still been looking for shorts. Although we would have been going sideways for a couple of days. So, this might have been a wait and see kind of day. London was just consolidation. I would have loved to see if, this would have been like an either or. Because we took out London got taken out already. Then we had this and then this. I don't know, man. This would have been, I probably wouldn't have touched this day. Nothing clear, not until here. And that's after 11. And then we just kind of went sideways the whole time. Like, it would have taken forever to get what I would be looking for a couple of micros. All right, but let's look at it from the lens of we had a bunch of consolidation and then we just started to move up. But it's not the kind of consolidation I like. The manipulation did occur here, but it's not again, enough of a manipulation. I wouldn't have liked it. I would have been like, it's so close. Just take it out. And then they did expand, but again, I wouldn't have loved it. All right. Hmm. Here's a better day, but we get like the tiniest of consolidations, but we took it out. No, no, no. This is just expansion. and not seeing all the juiciness I'd like to see. Like at minimum, we have small consolidation here. I would have loved for them to take it out. But then on the days that they don't do that, I need to be okay with that because not taken good trades because I was like, I need them to take that out at open, and they didn't. They just came up and then dropped. This would have been annoying as hell. Not until after 11 would you have gotten something clean. Uh, anyway, I'm about to close this out just to make this the last one. So we had some news, juicy. News just took everybody out. We had a little bit of continuation this way, and then some juicy expansion. So I had a little bit of a manipulation, but it wouldn't take out that news candle. So that was the high of the day, I guess. I was wondering if the news candle is going to be the high of the day. Yeah. So enter this order block, tiny fair value gap right there. So I'm just curious, like, how much of a stop would I have had to, ugh, 2 micros, but it would have paid. 2 micros would have paid. Taking the entry at the bottom of that fair value gap, it would have paid. All right, guys. I think that's gonna be it for today. It's 11 o'clock. I'm about to go get dressed and go hang out with my bestie for the day. Please, 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 for the love of everything, go enjoy your day. Bob, thank you so much for the um, information on making my video look a little bit better. And let me see if I find a cat. Sucha, come here, baby. You want to come here? No. Okay. I'm gonna get a cat so you can say goodbye. Oops. See. I get the kitty that's willing to be picked up. Okay, Maddie, say bye bye. And have a good day to everybody, okay? Guys, they're so big. Look at her. Oh. She's huge. She's like, look at her face. He's like, all right, guys. I'm gonna see you later. I'll see you tomorrow for some more forward testing. I do that during the week where I'm just looking at what I would have taken based off of everything I'm doing, and I'll so I'll keep posting in the Discord when I have something I want to do. All right, y'all. Be good. Be safe. Shakira out.